Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Third Banner Pod. We are going to try and make our way through it. We've got myself, Ash, and Kyle on tonight. We've got hopefully Ross going to make it. He's traveling right now and trying to make it home safely. Anybody else is driving, make sure you drive safe and don't pay too much attention to us. But Pat should be here as well in the next few minutes. Had a little dad duty that he had to take care of, so I can't blame him there. But Kyle is a little under the weather, and you'll be able to tell by his voice. Oh, it looks like we got Pat coming on now, so let me add him to the stream here. All right, Pat, there you are. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty well, man. Pretty well. Not getting the snow we thought here, so
that's good. It was 76 here in Austin today, so
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous.
Well, I'm gonna warn you guys right off the bat. I've had bronchitis, which I actually really started escalating on the last pod last Wednesday, but I gutted through that one. I think I hit it pretty well, but it turned into laryngitis, and I haven't been. This is the most right now that I've talked in the last 3 days, which my wife's probably happy. But if my voice sounds a little raspy, that would be why. But we've got a lot to talk about tonight between the North Carolina game last night, the unfortunate loss that we suffered there, and we'll get into Kenny Payne's comments as well after that. So that being said, we did lose last night. We lost by 16 points to North Carolina, and it was really a tale of two halves, but unfortunately our first half was so bad that it was difficult to overcome. So the first half, I'm going to give you all my takeaways, and then we can break down some of the analytics and box.
I just got to say, man, what a game from Jalen Withers. Is finally he shows up in a big – oh, wait, never mind.
Yep.
Wrong side.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I noticed, like we know our defense is not where it needs to be. It's never been under the Kenny Payne era. It's never been where it needs to be. But I think one thing that often gets overlooked is our offensive deficiencies based on the lack of scheming. One thing that used to really drive me nuts. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink real quick. Okay, one thing that used to really drive me nuts under John Calipari was how his guys would just ram into the lane to draw fouls. There was no system. The Harrison twins made a living out of it. It's like we're more athletic than you. We have superior athleticism and talent, so we're just going to blow by you and throw up junk and hope we get fouled. That's exactly what we did in the first half. We would set a pick at the top of the screen or at the top of the key, and usually if they switched off of it, then our guard, whoever had the ball, would just drive in and either shoot a mid-range contested shot or they would throw up junk hoping to get fouled. Now, the refs didn't fall for it, not at North Carolina, not at Chapel Hill. They weren't giving us those calls, nor should they have. In today's college basketball, you need multiple shooters. You need three shooters minimum starting.
You got to be dynamic.
You shoot 3-point shooting and layups are the name of the game in 2024 when it comes to college basketball and the NBA. So we have a roster right now that's full of guys who really can't shoot the ball that well outside of Curtis Williams and sometimes Mike James, but Mike James is hot and cold. Beyond those two, and usually Curtis comes off the bench. So you really start the game with one semi-consistent shooter. Now, Sky Clark, he had a shot going. But that being said, like we don't like in today's college basketball, you need to have 5 guys moving all the time on offense. Your big man's out there setting screens, rolling to the basket. You guys are cutting back door. And then you got guys, if you converge on them, then you kick it out for 3-point shots with guys out there ready to shoot threes. In the entire first half, all we did, set a screen at the top of the key, dribble into the mid-range, try to throw up junk. And that's exactly what UK used to do under John Calipari. And he's even learned because against this season's UK team, they don't play like that anymore. He finally figured it out. But
I hate to say it, but they're actually kind of fun to watch this year.
Yeah, we're playing an archaic style of basketball right now. And I'm going to sum it up by saying the second half, we got into it a little bit better. We had some assists. Like, I'll give you an example. We had 1 assist at halftime. 1. We finished the game with 10 assists, which is still not enough. 10 assists, 13 turnovers. But
10
9
assists is terrible.
9 assists in one half is fine. Our second half, we played better, but the consistency of what we did in the second half on offense, we haven't had that all year, and we didn't have it last year either. And you got to have 5 guys moving in motion all the time. Big man setting screens, setting double screens, rolling to the basket, cutting back door. Guys without the ball need to be cutting or sitting on by the 3-point line as a guy with the ball penetrates the lane. He either gets it to the big man who's rolling after a screen, he gets an uncontested layup, or he kicks it out when they converge on him, and he's got shooters out there. That's the name of the game. We're not doing it consistently. Obviously, our defense has its deficiencies, but that's probably not going to change at this point. So the offense is what I noticed the most.
Well, and then like you were saying with the driving, trying to get to the lane, even when we did get to the free throw line, we didn't shoot it very well. We shot 46% from the free throw line last night. I mean, that's pretty terrible.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few takeaways from this game.
I think we need a Pat monologue tonight.
Yeah, well, we'll see. My first takeaway, and I don't like to disparage kids, 20, 21-year-old men. But my first takeaway watching this game, NC State, Miami game, is Trey White has not developed at all since last year. In fact, he's probably regressed, which is disappointing because I was excited when we signed him. But I was watching the game, and Kyle, me and you talked about the Miami game, how the half-court defense looked a lot better.
Yep.
The transition defense was awful. It was awful again last night. But the half-court defense wasn't very good last night either. And from what I saw, it was mostly because of Trey White. He was late on doubles, late to switch. He would help off his man when he didn't need to. I think, and I hate to say stuff like this, but I think we're a better team without Trey White. The problem is you have to have Trey White because we only have 6-7 other guys that can play.
Right.
So that's kind of my first takeaway. I'm so disappointed in Trey White. And I know he shot the ball okay, even though crazy shots went in. He was 5 of 8, I think. But I think he had 1 rebound, and that was his only other stat in the game. And I thought I would see more this year, and I haven't. So that's my first takeaway. My second takeaway is, and I feel like this just isn't a Kenny Payne thing. I felt like this was the same thing under Mac. But my God, we start games. Our first 5 minutes of almost every game is god awful. We dig ourselves a 10 to 15 point hole at the start of each game, and then from there on out, we look like I'm not saying we look like a great team, but we look like a competent team usually. But when you get yourself behind by so much in the first 5 minutes, and you've got to continue to climb out of it. I mean, that's what killed us versus NC State. Otherwise, we might have won that game. It's hard to watch, and we got lucky versus Miami because they had a horrible first 5+ minutes too. Yeah. So those were the 2 big things. I mean, some positives. BHH, Huntley Hatfield, he got a little bit abused early, but I thought he adjusted well in that game. I thought when, Kyle, you said we played better in the second half, and I thought that was mostly due to going inside, getting him touches down there. When he gets touches, he usually puts it in the basket or he opens, he can find someone for an open shot, or the ball rotation is a lot better if he touches the ball. So I thought he looked pretty good. I'm still impressed with Curtis Williams. He makes freshman mistakes. I actually thought it wasn't perfect, but I actually thought he played better defense, on-ball defense than I've seen all year last night. And Sky Clark played pretty well, but it's kind of dictated off of whether his outside shot is falling. If his outside shot is falling, it seems to open up the lane for him, which he can get easy buckets in the lane. And also he seems to have a lot more assists when his outside shot's falling, because I think he gets more attention. So those were kind of my takeaways. Obviously, 15-point loss to UNC. Some people are going to say, hey, they're the number 4 team in the country. But Louisville basketball should never be satisfied with a 15-point loss to North Carolina
16
or 16 points for anybody.
That's terrible. That's not acceptable. I don't care if you're playing the number 1 team in the country. You can't lose by double digits and think there's any kind of moral victory with that. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm so tired of we only lost by 6 points. Or, I mean, it's crazy where we're at right now. And even worse than the loss last night, it is after the game, where he's like, the quote with, "In my world, inheriting what I inherited, this is really year 1 for me."
Yeah.
What? If he wins 25 games, you're going to tell me that he wouldn't have taken the credit for that? That's some bullcrap. Like, get out of here with that. Like,
yeah. I'm going to touch
I'm
on
sorry,
that.
but I can't deal with that nonsense. Like that line of thinking is just so out of whack, because if he had a really good season, everybody would be heaping praise on him. So with praise also comes the criticism. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about the quote, but I did want to go over some of the box score stuff. They both shot about even from 3. They both shot lights out. Louisville 44%, UNC 45%. Sky Clark hit some tough threes last night. That's the thing. I don't think that's sustainable to shoot the type of threes he was shooting and make them on a regular basis, but he did last night. So he had some big shots. I don't feel like that was the issue that we had. Rebounding was a huge issue. They had 43 to our 30, and a lot of that was because they got our 2 bigs in foul trouble. I mean, they got Caleb Glenn in foul trouble. They had BHH in foul trouble, and obviously, Baycott is Baycott. So I didn't see any of their players have a abnormal game. Baycott had 19, I think 19 and 10 or 19 and 8, something like that. And RJ Davis had his 21 points that he gets all the time. But there was one guy that really killed us, and it was Jalen Withers, 15 and 10. That's abnormal for him. Obviously, he had motivation to go into this game. Kenny Payne didn't want him to stick around.
I think that's his best game of the year, I think.
And I mean, I get it. He struggled last year. I'm not going to sit here and say like that was he struggled. So it is what it is, but he had some juice in him last night, and it worked. It worked out for him. So that was the X factor. And the kid, and his name escapes me, the white guy that kept hitting threes. I think he hit 4 or 5 of them. He killed us last night. So
yeah, he's my new guy that I can't stand looking at, man.
So they had 19 assists to our 10, and they had 8 turnovers to our 13. So 10 assists, 13 turnovers on the road at Chapel Hill. That's not going to get it done, man. And that includes having 9 assists in the second half. So we had 1 assist at halftime. And like I said, that was the biggest problem. That's why we got down 20 points in the first half, because we were just driving one-on-one with a pick at the top of the screen. And that's not a productive basketball. But in typical fashion, though, to get to Ash's point, the game itself was bad, but I'm going to take a drink real quick. The game itself was bad, but the post game is always worse. It's almost always worse.
It's always worse. Either he got tricked or like talking about kids as tights or, now last year didn't even count. Like, this is bull crap. Like
this one here, though, for me is the worst. And I'm going to get into
it is. Tell them this a whole season doesn't matter. Okay, go refund all those sweet holders money.
Well, and that's what I'm
last year
getting
don't
count. I think you should. I'm gonna just put it on the record right now. I think that's a fireable statement. What he said.
I agree.
He said last year to him doesn't count. Kenny Payne, why did you not tell the fan base that before the season started, so they could get a refund?
You don't think he'd been asking for a raise if he won 25 games last year?
Why would you put a fan base and your players through that? Which a lot does make sense as far as the playing goes. The players looked like they didn't want to be there. They didn't try as hard as they could have last year. It all makes sense. Their coach told them it didn't matter. And if he didn't directly tell them that, which is what the argument's going to be, Kyle, I'm sure he didn't tell his players that. Well, they know. You can tell if a coach doesn't think it matters. You can tell. He doesn't even have to say it. And if your coach doesn't think it matters and his body language and his mannerisms reflect that, they don't think it matters, which is exactly why when they rode out there against Lenore Rye and then for the rest of the season, they looked like they didn't care. They just went through the motions. There was no sets. There was no
I feel you, Larry.
There was nothing. So for him to say that, it's egregious. But the biggest issue is you just told all the fans that had season tickets last year in particular that they wasted their money. Meanwhile,
it sounds like you weren't trying.
Meanwhile, you collected your multi-million dollars. You didn't miss a paycheck. You say it doesn't matter, but you collected your money. Did you give your money back if it doesn't count? No. So basically, you got paid for an exhibition season? That's what you're telling me? And you're still the coach right now? I'm losing my voice. I don't have much of a voice.
He's just trying to make excuses and trying to buy himself more time or whatever he can do to give those that are fighting for him ammunition. Like I was one of his most ardent supporters in the off season.
Yeah.
And I am so far off this train now that I'm not even at the station anymore. Like, I'm already on the bus home.
He gave our entire fan base the middle finger.
Yeah.
And, and let's be honest. Let's be real. Last season did matter to him until he started losing. And instead of taking accountability like a man does, I'm going to say it. A man takes accountability for what they inherit. Even if all of it wasn't their fault, if you agree to take that on, you take that shit on. And that's in life. That transcends coaching. It goes beyond that. A real man takes accountability when the shit hits the fan. Even if it's not their fault, they have to pick up the pieces. Nobody forced him to come here. Nobody.
Yeah.
He took that job. And let me tell you something. I don't care who believes me. I know for a fact he told multiple people in his circle, I'm not worried about any of that shit. It's going to be fine. I'm going to get a bunch of studs in here immediately, and we're going to turn this thing right around. I'm not worried about any of that. And then when it didn't start happening, you start hearing the narratives, the cloud. Chris Mack, and I'm no fan of Chris Mack. I'm no Chris Mack fan. Chris Mack had a worse situation with what he had to deal with than Kenny Payne did. Kenny Payne could have had the guard. I think his name was Sean McNeil. Correct me if I'm wrong. Out of West Virginia. Passed on him. Passed on Sean McNeil because he thought he could do better. He thought he was going to get DJ Wagner and those guys. He thought he was going to get all these 5 stars. He failed to do that. Sean McNeil goes to Ohio State, starts, averages double figures, shoots the ball decent. We could have used that last year. We could have used Dre Davis last year, but he didn't really encourage Dre Davis to come back. Didn't really want his brother, from what I understand. So we didn't. Now look at what Dre Davis is doing this year at Seton Hall. I mean, look at it. And you're sitting here telling me that Fabio Basile and Devin Reed, who he chose instead. That wasn't his players. It was. Where are they now? And I said it then when we got them. I said, neither of these guys is going to do anything. Just like I said, Koran and Danilo aren't going to do anything. Which, I mean, you could debate Koran, but I mean, that's a guy we shouldn't have had to take. And yeah, he got unlucky with Dennis Evans, obviously, and Trenton Flowers, and JJ Trainer's gotten hurt.
But did he get unlucky with Trenton Flowers, or did he just overlook stuff?
Well, you could
Or
argue.
did he chase him away?
Good character analysis, it looks like to me.
Or did he chase him away? I don't know. But it's just that situation. The thing is, though, you're always going to have injuries. So I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen, and I'm calling it now. He's going to use injuries and say that, you got to give me a third year because I've had injuries. It's always going to be something, and it's never going to be his fault. I've met guys like this my entire life. Nothing's ever their fault. They always have it bad. They give themselves a break whenever things get bad. That's not a leader. And that, like I said, I can say that about a head coach because that transcends just college basketball. That is a leadership position. And I know what those positions are. I'm in those positions. I don't claim to be perfect, but I'll tell you damn what, when something messes up and it's in my department that I run and it's with my people, it's my fucking fault. At the end of the day, I didn't put somebody in the right position, or I didn't put myself in the right position. Maybe I didn't do something right. And if I inherited a mess, which happens all the time, it's my job to fix it.
Yeah.
But to just say that shit didn't happen or it doesn't count, you sound like
bullshit.
That's something like
It's bullshit.
That's something that my stepson would have said when he was like 8, and I had to preach to him then, like, dude, I understand you didn't make that mess in your room. I understand your cousins came over and made that mess. You need to clean it up. You knew if you had them over, what was going to happen. You still want them to come over. It's your room. Clean up the mess. So to give the fans the middle finger who put their hard-earned money and actually believed you were trying last year, to do that to them, to do that to us. Kenny Payne, in my mind, you can win every game the rest of the season. I want you out now. And I don't care. I know there's a guy who spams all of our YouTube comments. Go ahead, buddy.
Screw that
Do
dude.
it.
I don't care.
Do it.
And Desmond, you're absolutely right to
10 toes down
Mr.
on
Trey
it.
Davis. I never understood running him out because that's the type of player that, I mean, he goes out there and grinds on the floor and like he leaves every bit of energy on the court. And a guy like that is a guy you don't just run out of your program. So
No.
Desmond, I don't blame you for missing Trey Davis.
Yeah.
We could have
So
used him, especially last year, his effort, but he would have probably been like the same way. I mean, if your coach doesn't think it counts, whether he even tells you that or not, his mannerisms are going to reflect that, and you're going to pick up on that. You're not going to play well for a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also you put your players in a position where you feel like you're above them. Like, I just got to get through this so I get my guys in here. Which, by the way, the 2 players that were the first ones to leave were Kenny Payne guys.
I got to say, welcome, Ross.
Yeah, welcome, man.
Yeah, welcome.
Glad you can make it.
Came right in the middle.
Yeah,
of
that first 20 minutes didn't count. So we're starting right now, and that's first
20 minutes of the show didn't matter.
No. I mean, if we're applying logic 1-to-1, this is exactly how it goes. So, I mean, listen, when you go into work tomorrow and you tell them that, hey, I was 37 minutes late. It doesn't count. Like, it counts now because I'm here now. Like, I'm on. Like, you may be employing me, and I didn't necessarily get paid for this 37, or maybe you did. I mean, but it counts now. It counts now.
Well, and if we went 28-4 last year with the same group in the same situation, the same thing he inherited, you think he would say that shit didn't count it?
No, that's what I said earlier.
He'd say, "Look what I did."
Raise.
Hey, look what I did.
Listen,
It either counts or it doesn't. And we know
Yeah.
for a fact that this all started because he couldn't figure out what to do with the team. He didn't land the guys he thought he was going to land. He was in over his head.
Well,
And
all
instead
the
of
recruits
admitting that,
tricked him.
he made excuses and he lied. He lied. But the worst part about his lie is it wasn't a good lie. You threw the fans who paid the money under the bus. You threw your players under the bus. So, Kenny, you're lying to yourself, whether you realize it. In psychology, we do call it confabulation, when people make themselves believe things that aren't true. So you can't really call it a lie, but you manipulate yourself. I don't know which one you're doing, if you're outright lying or if it's confabulation. But either way, man, you took something that wasn't true and made it true so that you can feel better and not take accountability. But you threw everybody under the bus by doing it. So good job, Kenny. Good freaking job, man.
He doesn't listen. Let's analyze this. For one, he doesn't believe a word he says. I know
there's no way. There's no way.
He doesn't believe a word he says. But so that quote came after someone asked about Hubert Davis taking over North Carolina and being in year 3, I think he's in, being super successful. Hey, and they asked Kenny, do you think you could have the same success? And he said, well, this is year 1 now. Last year didn't count. The only defense I can give of Kenny, not what he said, is yes, they were completely different situations. Hubert Davis was set up with a great situation. Kenny Payne was not. But here's the facts. Nobody last year expected Kenny Payne to come in here and win big. People would have been satisfied if Kenny came in here, put together a complete roster that competed on the court, that showed effort, that, went around 500 with a manageable schedule. I don't think anybody after that would complain. As long as that happened, it looked decent, and he had recruits coming in the following year that could get us to the next level. So Kenny's at the point where he's the guy who got caught in a fight with a bunch of witnesses, that sucker punched somebody, and he's on the stand now saying, hey, that didn't count because it was self-defense. He's the guy who cheats on his wife before marriage and says, hey, that didn't count. We weren't married yet. I mean, this is absolute BS, and he knows it, but he knows in the back of his mind that he's done. And so he's trying to make it look like, well, I was given a bad hand and now I'm not going to get enough time. That's what he is setting it up for that. And you were right, Kyle, in the process of doing that, he is sticking that middle finger to the fans that pay their hard-earned cash to buy seats that a lot aren't showing up to, and who spend the people who are going, that spent their time last year trying to support them. I mean, if I hear that, if I went to games last year and I'm a Kenny Payne supporter, and you're telling me that last year didn't count, those times you sat there and cheered on my team, that didn't count. That didn't exist. That wasn't year 1. That should have never happened. Well, I mean, you might as well have came in and said, hey guys, I can't coach this year. I just need a year to get my team together, because that's how bad the program is.
And Kenny did not, I want to say, he did not get a bad hand. He did not get a bad hand. He agreed to take on a bad hand. For millions of dollars. For millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. He was not forced to do this, which is the way he presents it now behind the scenes. He's trying to there was pressure to take this job. Some people told me not to. They warned me. I did it anyway. Poor Kenny. He's always in a situation where he's just trying to do the right thing, and everybody's just against him. Drop the victim mentality, man. You agreed that you could have stayed as an assistant coach at the New York Knicks, and there would have been a 24 to 48 hour blurb across the bottom of a screen that says Kenny Payne turned down the head coaching job at the University of Louisville, and then nobody would remember because we'd be on to the next dude. But no, you thought you could do it, which there's nothing wrong with that. You took on a challenge, but when you take on a challenge, you know what you're getting. When you're in over your head, you have to take that responsibility and accountability, and then you have to adjust or you lose your job. But what you don't get to do, what the kind of person I cannot stand dealing with in life is the kind of person that takes something on, knows what they're taking on, and then turns around and pretends they didn't have any idea and were blindsided and none of it's their fault, or that things don't count because it didn't start with them. Nah, dude, you took that shit on.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally like he signed on to this job. He knew exactly what he was getting into. He's an alumni. He knows where we were at. It would be like signing a contract for a fixer-upper house, and then trying to, like, you knew you were getting into what you were getting in, and then saying like, no, I'm going back to the previous owner. You're entitled. You got to fix all this before I come on, even though you signed a contract agreeing to what you were being brought in to do. Like, what's going on now is he's trying to, this is revisionist history. He's trying to rewrite the history in a way that it makes him look less culpable. And also, it also sets him up better in his career for his future, whatever that is after Louisville. That, like, he's taking care of his rear end first before anything else. And, like, sadly, like, that's the one thing that's the crutch I've always leaned on with Kenny Payne, is that, and why I was sold on overlooking a lot of the red flags of a guy had never been a head coach taking on a job of this caliber, was that not only were we told that he was going to be able to recruit gangbusters and get anybody and everybody he wanted, we were all sold that. And him and his people told us that. They said that the Nike issue and us being an Adidas school, that wouldn't be an issue. Like, that was not going to be an issue. That turned out to be a lie. But the thing I really sought comfort in was that this guy is ours. He is one of us. He's come through the program as a kid from Mississippi back in the day. He understood where we were coming from. He understands what this program means. He knows the history. He's ingrained in this just as much as we are, and he's part of that history. And for him to sit there and what really seems like him making sure he's covering his own bacon in a sense, and just selling the program out and selling the fans out, lying to the fans, trying to repaint everything. Like I said, revisionist history. It is just really, it's pitiful, and it's honestly, it's distasteful. And I'm pretty much more hurt in that he's taken it feels like he's taken advantage of that trust that we have in him as a fan, him being a former player, him being one of us, like that. It just feels very disingenuous. It feels like all of that was for naught. All that stuff that we bought into, like, it just doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel real. And, I can't, the one thing that I was really also content on is that if this went bad, and I said this on previous pods, is that if this went bad, I believed in Kenny and I trusted in Kenny that he would know when to bail out, and he would say, look, I realize I'm not the guy for this job. This job deserves somebody else than me. And, it's best for the school. It's best for this basketball program. It's best for this city that I step down and I move on, and we all come to amicable terms and try to find a way to get through this, because I'm not the guy for the job. And it's been the complete opposite. It has been nothing but butting heads behind the scenes, him making sure he's going to get every cent that he's owed. And it's a lot easier for us on this side to say, well, yeah, I mean, he should do that. I mean, if it was our money, I mean, it would be a different story. Let truth be told. But like, I just believe that Kenny was really one of us, and it just has not. Every step that he's shown, it seems like he's felt like he's above the program, and he's doing us a favor. You're not doing us a favor, dog. We were doing you a favor by letting you come in with 0 head coaching credentials and coming in here and getting this job, getting a job of Louisville's caliber. We are a top 10 program of all time, probably top 7. You didn't do us a favor, dude. You did us a massive I don't even know the word to put on it. Like you did us a massive disservice by taking this job, and you should not have taken the job, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I believed in you, and you shouldn't have taken the job. And you need to go. At this point, though, we're like, and I'm sorry, and I'll end on this. Like, we're so far into this now. We had the time. We had the point where we could have cut ties, and we could have severed that bridge, and we could have moved on, and we didn't do it. And I don't care that it's at this point. I want him to earn all his money these last 6 weeks, earn every cent of it, and just sit there in it, and just deal with what it is. Yeah, the teams. If you call losing by 16 to UNC, I don't care if they're top 5. The ACC's down right now. It's been down the past couple of years. If you call losing by 16 to UNC as improvement, I don't know what to tell you. I cannot rationalize with you. We used to beat the shit out of UNC. Used to beat the shit out of them. Okay. I'm sorry. That's not improvement. That's a step back.
So I just got something real quick. You're no longer one of us when you make millions of dollars while fans are spending their hard-earned money on tickets, especially season ticket owners, and you turn around and say that season didn't count. It was an exhibition season, and you didn't relinquish a dime. You're using us.
If it didn't count, get back some of your money.
Get
back some of your money.
You're using us. That's it, man. You used us, and you need to go. I can't believe you still have a job. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
It's one of those things where in like the corporate world, if this was the normal corporate world, I'll be honest, I'm like, I'm not usually online with that, but like if this was the corporate world, dog, you'd been gone last year. Easily. Like it is crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how anybody's still justifying this. How do you justify this?
In the corporate world, if you take over a company, and it can be a company in a bad position, and you make it worse, you are gone, and you are never getting a job again. Ever.
And he probably won't. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not going to hurt him any. He could have done the right thing and agreed to a split and agreed to a buyout, and this tenure on his resume would have reflected 0 on him, because him and his people could have said, okay, well, he still has 30 years of assistant experience. He's a damn good assistant. Like, he's probably not going to get it. He probably doesn't even want another head coach again after this, I wouldn't think. But somebody's going to hire him ASAP to be an assistant coach on their staff. Like, that is going to happen. Like, like you said, Kyle, it feels like he used us. It feels like he's used us every step of the way. He's not given the school any leniency at all to try to make this right. Not one bit. And I want to hit on something too, because it's been getting talked about a lot. We have NIL money in the coffers for basketball, and he said Nah, we don't need that. We've got our own NIL money.
Yep.
But okay,
Where's it at?
where is the
Where is it
results
at? I'm
of that
tired,
NIL
man.
money? Where is it at? Because we all know basically it's free agency and you're buying players now. Football, Louisville football, who they sure as hell are getting everybody they want. They're getting everybody they want, and they're taking kids out of SEC country and beating them head to head. So what's up? Like Louisville basketball, dude. It's Louisville basketball.
That's a good
You can't tell me you can't win these battles. Come on, dude. Like, no.
That's a good transition though, because I see the chat has been like begging to talk about football, which we had to talk about. This all just happened. I see. Are we really going to talk about this for 6 more weeks? Well, listen, man.
I mean, during the season,
said that last night. That was the final straw. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always been skeptical of the hire, but I've tried to get on board. I've tried to get on board. I've never been given a reason to, and I will. But last night's comment, let me tell you something. He can win every game the rest of the year. I'm not on board.
And Kyle's out. I think, in the entire Discord, I think Ross and I were probably the only ones that were totally on board.
I mean, so we were on board.
Me so far away from that.
And my reason for being out is because I feel like he used us. And I feel
I feel betrayed.
I can't
and
do
like
that.
The fact that Ross, you're talking about him not wanting to use the NIL money that's out there. Like, to me, that's negligence. Like, you're not even trying at that point. Well, get the hell out of here. We don't want you.
Own group. But I don't know if you guys are ready, though. I know that's
I just get worked up. So we got to move to football because I'm just getting mad, and I'm going to go on like a 5-minute tirade if we don't.
Let's put a smile.
Hey, Ash, me and you, dog, we're really close to baseball. We're very close to baseball.
And I do actually have to say something. Tron, you got to check out the baseball league Discord, because a week ago was the keeper deadline for our baseball league, and somebody made a trade the night before the keeper league, the keeper deadline, and then he didn't check the box to keep the guy he traded for.
Oh no. So speaking of
and just now realized it because that guy got drafted in the draft.
So speaking of getting guys, we have been doing that in football. We've been doing very well. Again, guys, if you're just now joining the pod, I've had laryngitis and bronchitis. So I sound like a lot of itises, and I sound like hammered shit. So apologies, but I'm gutting through it. In football, we are killing it. And let's talk about the big 3 that we've landed in just the past week.
Yeah.
We flipped to Mary
Brady bomb. More bombs to come.
We flipped to Marion McDonald from Ole Miss. He was a Tennessee safety. Ended up switching. We flipped Tyler Barron, an edge, who is going to be so good on the opposite side of Ashton Gelati. I mean, so fucking good. It's insane. If those 2 guys stayed healthy, oh my God. Because Tyler Barron, he's strong, he's fast, and he's a good pass rusher. He's a great run stopper. And then we got Tavion Nicholson yesterday. Another guy.
Or today. Yesterday or today.
A cornerback. So he'll be out there with Quincy Riley. He'll be out there with Thornton. I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to hand it off, but we're stacked.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was in 2015, we had 10 players drafted. I think next year we might equal or exceed that number. Not in the upcoming draft, the next draft after that. That's what we did in the portal. Man, we went and got a bunch of guys that could get drafted next year. And you add that to the guys on our team that will probably get drafted too. And I think you might surpass that 10 that we had in 2015. So yeah, I'm pumped, man. What a job by Jeff. 502 Circle. Our all of our coaches, man, just freaking awesome.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, like, so we thought that a week ago or so that we thought we were out of the Tyler Barron sweepstakes. We were going head to head with Ole Miss, trying to get him, and it looked like we had made our pitch, and we ultimately ended up losing. Lane Kiffin, I love him or hate him. I mean, like he generates buzz on social media. You know what I mean? Like he might not be your thing, but I kind of enjoy him because if that dude was my coach, I'd love the hell. I'm not saying anything. I love that we got Brohm and all this stuff. I'm not saying nothing against that, but Kiffin does have some swagger, and I think he's a great fit at Ole Miss. But they looked like they had won that sweepstakes, and come to find out, Tyler Barron and his family were set on Louisville, and they wanted to keep that real low. They wanted to keep that quiet, and just let it kind of play out. And then yesterday, what was it, 2 days ago, the news breaks. Brady drops that bomb on social media, and saying that this one's going to reverberate across all of college football. And he's not wrong. Like, he's not wrong at all. Like, we are going head to head in SEC country. We're going after a kid that has gotten major snaps as a major player for Tennessee. He was looking to transfer to Ole Miss, and there's a kid going from one SEC school potentially to another SEC school, and we stole him from Ole Miss. And not just him, like you said, we got McDonald and we got Nicholson too. Like, I don't know what the hell Kiffin did to piss off our staff and motivate them, but they succeeded because we're taking your cookies, dog. We are taking your cookies. We're taking your cookies, and listen, this front seven on this defense, the whole defense is going to be damn good. But I made this comment the other day. This front seven on this defense, we have gone out and put together a front seven like Florida State had this past year. It is that good. They are going to be absolutely dominant, barring injuries, lack of injuries, I should say. We are going to be a major problem. I have no qualms in saying that we're going to be a top 20 defense with what we have right now, and the talent and the playmakers and the depth. Like, we are going. Hey, shout that out from my. I'll let you say it. Shout that out from my buddy Chuck.
319 days, boys.
To what?
319 days.
To what?
We're gonna kick that Kentucky ass. You heard it here first.
Oh man. Oh yeah. So I mean, listen, we're coming this year. It's only getting better, and I cannot wait.
Jalen Withers showed up in a big game.
Listen, we're done with basketball. We're not talking about basketball anymore. I'm sorry.
I was waiting on that dude to show up tonight.
Listen, we're done with basketball. We're moving on. We're moving on to football.
Congratulations. Join the club. Everybody beats us in basketball. You can join Arkansas State and who was it, Kentucky Westland?
Lenore Ryan and
Danville.
Congratulations, brother. You beat
Danville School of the Blind, and I mean, Navy, App State. Just join the list. You're not special. You're not special. But no, I'm so.
I'm take the next step, and he hopes that Shuck can stay healthy. I know that's been your biggest fear and worry, Kyle.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, but if he can, I mean, God, I keep trying to drink water and get my voice back, but
It
if he
ain't
can
gonna
stay
happen.
healthy, then my goodness, look out.
Kyle, it's all right,
Yeah.
buddy. I mean, listen, like, here's the thing. Shuck is a question mark as far as that his health and his durability. But man, when he's healthy, the kid's a problem. I was going back and watching video of him again this past weekend. That kid is a problem, dude. Like, he is going to be, when he's healthy, he's a major upgrade from Plummer, a major upgrade. And I know people hate player comparisons. He is very similar to Joe Flacco. I'm telling you, like, he's an underrated runner. He's got a big old arm. He's going to get the ball downfield. He's accurate enough. Like, he makes plays. It's just a matter of, can he stay upright, stay healthy, stay on the field, take snaps. I mean, if he can, I mean, my God, what we need is a Michael Penix. We need a Michael Penix, revelation to happen as far as his health. If that happens with Shuck, hey, the nation's on notice. I'm telling you right now, like, I have no problem saying that. I'm so looking forward to seeing him in spring ball. Like, it's gonna be, dude. I'm ready to see it. Like, because I liked Plummer last year, and we got to see a lot. Not a lot, but we got to see some of his warts as the season went on. This dude's a different animal. He's got a different skill set. His skill set's higher as far as ceiling. This kid's good. He just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this team next year, it probably doesn't have the best top-end talent of any team we've ever had. I mean, you can look at, like, the Brohm and Bush teams, and there's probably more top-end talent on some of those teams. But in terms of total talent, I'm not sure you'll find one in UofL history that has this much talent top to bottom. And the key, and what Brohm, I think, discovered in those last 3 games is, for one, we need some speed. And I think he went out and got some speed. Barron, as at the edge, has some speed. The cornerbacks he's gotten have got a little bit more speed than what we had last year. I mean, Quincy Riley's a fast guy. We don't have to worry about him, but some of the other corners we had.
He's quick twitch, man. He's real quick twitch.
But depth, like we've never had a team at the University of Louisville that you can say, hey, that second unit, you could take our second unit across the board, except for maybe quarterback. We don't know what the young guys are about. And that second unit would be maybe a top 25, top 30 team. And that's something we've never had at the University of Louisville. And even some of the third team players are really good players. I mean, he went out and got some depth and some all-around talent. And like I said, man, I would not be surprised if we had 10 or more kids drafted next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think over the next 2 seasons, I think you're going to see a lot of players on this current roster. By the time summer rolls around, you're going to see a lot of these dudes in the next 2 drafts getting drafted. Like, I have no doubt about that. I think you're 100% on point, Pat.
I think all we need is another bona fide receiver. I'd like it to be a quick burner, and I think that would be like the cherry on the cake, babe, or cherry on the top.
I know y'all don't agree, but I think
cherry on top.
I think we need another stud lineman or 2. And I think we'll get that in the spring after spring practice happens. I think we'll bring in a guy or 2 that's really going to be, set themselves apart. They're going to be brought in for that reason. I think it'll be guys that'll probably, I don't know who at this point, but it'll be some guys that like maybe have a year left, maybe 2 if they got a COVID year, but they will have graduated and they're definitely going to be more of the top caliber. They will be some guys that played major snaps at the P5 level. So I think we need 2 of those guys. I like where our O-line's at as far as potential skill. I'm just not like with a guy like Shuck, you need to keep that dude clean. And I think we need another 2 guys, like for sure.
His style of play, he's got to run the ball, and he's not going to slide probably. He's just not that kind of dude.
He'll slide, but you can't have him back there getting rushed, 2 seconds on a drop back.
Well, no, but I think we got to do to stop that. I hope, but I guess
I don't think he's the type of guy that, to me personally, just kind of watching his game, I don't think he's the type of guy that when he does see a running lane, right? Say it's a pass play, as he sees a running lane, he takes off. Like, more times than not, like, he's not going to end up on the bad end of that hit, and or he will slide. Like, I've seen him slide and run out of bounds. Like, I don't think he has a problem doing that. I think he's gotten himself in some bad situations in the pocket, and I'm just going to keep going back to that. Like, we need to keep him clean. Like, so we're going to need another player or 2 that is a major impact lineman, because I like the skill and the ceiling that we have in the depth there. I just don't think that we have all the guys that are ready to be that guy this year. We need one more stopgap year with this dude. That's what we need. One more.
Yeah. And then go ahead, Pat.
I guess that's what spring practice is for. You can see that, but
absolutely.
Looking at our offensive line right now, I mean, you've got probably 7, 8 dudes that could start. I'm not, again.
How many of them have major reps though? Like, they're big question marks with a quarterback like what we have right now.
I mean, a lot of the guys we brought in have major reps. I mean, Mills got major reps. The center, I can't pronounce his name.
Nigra.
He's got a lot of reps.
And I feel good. I feel good about Mills. I do.
Lance Robinson's going to be a beast.
Robinson's back.
I think he'll take a step up for sure. Yep.
I mean, you've got. I just find it. Again, you go out in spring practice. Yeah, you go out in spring practice, and if you see a hole, you plug it. But it's going to be hard to convince a guy to come here when you've got the depth that we do. And I think you've got a good chance for the offensive line to be as good as it was last year, at least, if not better.
I don't know. I might be in the minority of that, but to me, I see a line with a lot of potential, but not a lot of proven. Not a lot of like, they're not proven yet. Like, there's a lot of upside. So to me, if you're looking at a guy that has like 1 year left and he's a damn good lineman, and he's looking at like, hey, I might be a late round flyer, and he's somewhat young in age, 23, it should be an easy sell to get that dude to come in here, and he's probably gonna start. Like, he is probably going to start if he's that good at his position. Like, that's just the way I feel. Like, 22, 20, like somebody like that, and that kid in a pro offense like what Brohm runs, he's going to have so much tape, so much more tape. I went to a different offense, and I still produced. And look at me, like, I'm your dude. Like, a dude like that can improve his draft stock by a couple of rounds, possibly, if everything went right, especially if Shuck's like staying clean, going back there and doing everything that we think that we're bringing him in to do. If Shuck balls out, the entire O-line's draft stock is going to go through the roof. It's going to go absolutely through the roof. Like, so somebody like
if they kept him healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah,
we need I'm telling you, like, I feel good about the pieces we have in the line. I just think there's a lot of question marks that they're not proven yet. And here's the thing, like, we thought after spring ball, right, like, our secondary was pretty good. And then Brohm and staff went out and just hammered it, right? That turned out to be the right move because we had a lot of injuries in the secondary. That could happen in the O-line this year, and then you don't have the flexibility in the guys that you have, and then you're stuck trying to plug guys, and I'm telling you, that's a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for disaster with a quarterback like Shuck. You do not want that to be the case. So I have no doubt. I'm pretty confident. Like, I think the staff is going to do exactly what they did last year after spring practice. They're going to be able to give progress reports, see where dudes are at, what we need, and they're going to go out and fill some gaps and they're going to see what the holes are on that O-line, and they're going to go out and get starters. 100%.
Our best and deepest line that we've had in a long time.
I
think the biggest thing in the spring is going to be playing defense, and I'm talking about portal defense. I think we're going to have some dudes. I mean, you can transfer as much as you want anymore, really. It's a wild, wild west. So even these guys we just brought in, somebody can say, I want that. Like a new coach at like Alabama, for example, or one of those type of situations. They're shuffling their roster. They really didn't have time to really take advantage of the portal before they took the job. So the spring's going to be vital for places like Alabama and other places. They're going to try to poach, and they're going to try to poach from anybody they can. And we've got some poachable dudes now. So we got to spend this entire time as a coaching staff, giving our dudes a good vision, getting them bought in, showing them that, like, hey, this is the real deal here. You agreed to play here for a reason, and we're gonna prove you right off the bat, and we're gonna show you what you need to see. Easier said than done, but I'm just saying, look out for that, because really, as far as like, if you look at the roster today, now I know Ross thinks we need another lineman or two. I think we need a speedster at receiver. You could say we need a kicker.
After last year, I don't disagree. We need more speed on the outside for sure.
Yeah, I think we've got two good possession receivers in Brooks and Meeks, and then of course you got Chris Bell. He needs to take.
Yeah, I think he's like a hybrid. He's a both.
Yeah,
and
then you got Colin Lacey, who's the burner, who's the speedster. I think you need one more speedster because we lost Coleman, and Amari Huggins Bruce was fast, but he really never got good separation and never had a whole lot of huge. Well, he had that one big play against, I believe it was Virginia, but for the most part, he didn't have a lot of huge plays. So I would say Coleman, though, was a guy I was hoping to be a burner, and I think he showed some of that, like against Miami. And so I think we need a guy who can step into that role as a second burner and focus all your offensive energy on that. Maybe land a kicker. I mean, it's kind of wild to be sitting here and being like, man, we might need like two guys. Yeah. Because we're going to lose a lot of guys. If you remember right, you can be over on numbers this time of year, but you cannot be over on numbers after spring. So, like, you have to have the numbers work out to the scholarship limit. And we're probably 4 or 5 dudes over right now. So we're going to lose a lot of dudes. Hopefully it's dudes that are down the depth chart after spring.
Yeah.
But we got to play.
I think it will be.
We got to play a lot of defense, boys, to not lose some of these guys. Like Tyler Barron. There's a lot of plays that people I would love to get in his ear. And I don't think we will with the other guys involved. I'm just throwing a name out there. But, I mean, you got like Thornton. He's a really good one. You're going to have to play Thor. Thor's going to be great. Thor is going to be a stud. Like you got to hold on to guys like him, Mills. Then you got to hold on to guys like I don't know. Think of a guy who's a starter for like a TJ Quinn. You know, there's a team out there that might say, you know, we'll pay you more. So, you know, you got to hold on to these guys.
Well,
Hey,
and guys that are development guys that you think are going to, you know, step in next year, like Sanker and stuff like that. You got to make sure you hold off on guys like those.
Those are the type of dudes you got to hang on to. Those guys. They're the guys that are like literally right there. Like they're projected to be your starters for the next year. You cannot lose those guys. Like those are the guys you can't lose. Like Kyle, you brought up TJ Quinn. Like I from spring practice last year, I told everybody TJ Quinn was going to be an absolute dog. That dude played all over the field. He was constantly in on almost every play. It felt like losing a guy like that would obviously be awful. But to what you're saying, Pat, you like somebody that's like a Sanker or trying to think of somebody else like a Stanquan, you know, like those are guys that you project to be possibly starting for you this year, next year, maybe the following year. Like you're talking about possibly trying to fill a hole of multiple years. So what you're really talking about in the sense in the NIL and the transfer portal, the way it is today, you're talking about losing your recruiting blood, you know, in this day and age. Like you can't lose a guy like that. So got to keep those guys happy. They need to be clear about where they fit in and where they're at. And you know, I think as long as that communication is clear about, you know, what their role is, I think that's honestly the biggest thing. Like I don't think players all the time I don't think a lot of guys are just like, oh, well, I'm not going to start this year, so I'm going to leave. I think if they have a clear understanding, and it's not promising players, you know, playing time, but it's if they're living up to their potential and their role and they're fulfilling their duties as a scholarship player, that their time is coming. And if that's communicated, then it kind of all just works itself out. So, you know, you could go and recruit a 5-star freshman player, whether they're out of the high school or they're a portal player, and you're bringing that dude in and you're saying like, okay, well, this dude's like a 4-star player and he's been in our system for 2-3 years. That dude's probably going to play. Like, I know that the player that's coming in was, you know, talked up in the sense that they were going to have opportunities, but at that point they haven't earned their, unless they go into practice and just beat out the other dude and they're just that much better, they haven't earned their stripes, they haven't earned their stars. So like communication is key in all of this. So that's kind of my point here. Like I think just communicating to players and telling them like, hey, where you stand, I think that goes a long way in making sure that you keep the players that you need to keep.
And I think that this staff pretty well knows that this day and age, you have to be able to recruit your roster just as much as you do having an eye on the portal and that kind of thing to see who might be coming out there. I think they're very aware of what's going on their own roster as well. I just don't feel like they get caught. They're going to get caught off guard like maybe our previous staff might have.
No, it's more about like just somebody coming out with a huge bag if they really want somebody, an offer you can't refuse. But I have no doubt our staff will be prepared and do everything they can.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to any of our new viewers. I've seen a few names that I didn't recognize. Chuck Sheets, I want to say thanks for any of you guys that are new to the show. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that way you get notified when we come on live in the future. Normally we're on Wednesdays, but had to change it up this week because of the basketball game last night. So I just want to make sure that you guys get that notification and hit that subscribe button and like on the video.
Yeah,
Chuck's my guy, man. He's one of my many guys.
Who's our quarterback too? That's important.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's the one place we don't have depth. I do think it'll be interesting just before we transition to something else. When we talk about protecting players from getting poached, and this isn't just a Brohm thing, it's a college football thing.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you'll see less open practices, this next year when because I think this year compared to last year, there's more guys you got to protect, and you don't want people to see further down the depth chart. So I wonder if Brohm is like, hey, I don't want 10 open practices where some other coach gets to see this guy. And I'm sure there's a lot of coaches around the country thinking about stuff like that.
I think that's already happened, Pat. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the big thing in the spring and the key to, I guess, the hedge to our success.
Much love to you, Tar Heels.
And being a possible playoff team is going to be to develop that second quarterback.
QB2. Yep.
Because we do need if Shuck gets injured, we need that hedge. So we need Clarkson or Allen. Those are the two guys I think would step up. We need one of those two guys to step up.
Yep.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I know that a lot of us, when this transfer portal opened, we had maybe our eyes on some bigger prizes. Cam Ward, Will Howard, DJ Ungalele, who was the Tyler Van Dyke. There were some guys that we think we would have rather had.
Michael Pratt, they declared he's going pro.
they were asking a really big price tag. To me, hindsight being 2020, it really does look like this staff chose the right path. And what they did, they said, look, we got a guy in Shuck that has maybe he's just as good as all these guys. And yeah, he's got some question marks, but his price tag, his asking price isn't nearly as high as these other guys. So it's going to allow us to go out and fill some gaps at some positions, to go out and get guys that we wouldn't normally have if we would have gone out and gotten one of those other quarterbacks. Secondly, you sitting back and you're looking at it, like, it really does feel like you don't make a move like that, because the Brohms know how important the quarterback position is to a team, and how important it is to have a quarterback that can manage a team, and the expectations of the season going as a quarterback goes. So to me, I just don't see them making that. I don't see them making that move unless they have a good amount of confidence of one of the guys, maybe two, that are on the roster already in that quarterback room are going to make a jump, and they feel comfortable. If Shuck does get hurt, hey, this guy can fill in, take the reins, move on. It'll be their time, whether it's for 2 games, a game, the rest of the season. Like, I feel like they've maneuvered that mentally in their heads, and they see it, and they have trust in what we have here. It will be very, very interesting in spring ball to see who that is. I know that he's not a prototypical Brohm quarterback. I think it's Pierce Clarkson. I think he has all the intangibles that you look for.
Macro still wants another big defensive tackle.
Hey, Macro
never changed.
Macro would have everybody on the team at 3.
All 85 guys would be 330-pound, top 250.
Does your ass measure 52 inches? You're on the team.
Larry,
I know he was a UK quarterback, but Macro's favorite quarterback had to be
Oh, the J-Load.
Gerald Lorenzen. Yeah.
Round mounted touchdown. No, but what I
He
was
might be
saying,
my
like,
favorite UK
I think
quarterback too, because he was fun to watch, in my
He was
opinion.
fun to watch. And he talked a lot of crap.
and he was a lefty, so that was like another
Lefty.
unorthodox.
He had a lot of nicknames.
But no, I mean, getting back to the what we were talking about, like I just really feel like it's going to be Pierce, and then I think we're going to be looking at guys like Brady Allen. Can they pick up the playbook? What's his name?
He needs to step up, man. He's got all the tools. He's got
Harrison
Bailey.
Harrison Bailey? Like, can that dude pick up the playbook? You know, if those guys can. It feels like it's lining up that we're going to
show me something, Brady Allen.
We're going to have multiple guys that are going to be possibly ready to make that jump. And I don't think that Brohm, I don't think this staff is going to let us down in the quarterback room when it comes to development. I just don't. I have a lot of faith in them, and I just don't think that they make a move and say, hey, we're going with Shuck, unless they feel like, like they've got some guys that are waiting in the wings. Like, it's just not, it doesn't make any sense. Like, everything has made a lot of sense, everything that they've done, in the past year and a half, going on 2 years now. So, like, I think we're going to be fine. Like, I feel really, really comfortable, but I am very excited to see that quarterback depth, that depth room, that depth chart in the QB room come spring. Because it's I feel like it's going to.
That's what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
and listen, man, even if we got Cam Ward instead of Tyler Shuck, the number 2 quarterback in QB depth is important. Cam Ward could get injured too. He's
absolutely
as high of a chance as Shuck does, but he could. And I think you're going to see in spring ball who comes out on top. And maybe if you've got a couple guys that could be good if thrown into the role. I will say that Bailey, I know he used to be a 5-star and he's probably got talent. And I know Brohm is the QB whisperer, but listen, man, I mean, you only have so many lives, and that man couldn't beat out a guy at UNLV that I think lost his job this year. So anybody expecting Bailey to be a big time backup for us, I'm afraid you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right, Pat. I think you're looking at guys like Pierce Clarkson and Brady Allen. They're younger and they got a lot higher upside. They got a lot more to sell than a Harrison Bailey does. I don't want to speculate, but I do think that there's going to be a guy or two currently on this roster right now in that QB room that after spring ball happens, they will graduate and or just see the writing on the wall. Like, we're going to lose guys out of that QB room. That will happen, and we just need everybody to realize it's okay. And it's all going to work itself out, and we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, well, and it's also real quick. It's also important that one of these guys steps up, because again, man, you can use the portal in this era, but I think the perfect mix to be consistent is mixing the portal with developing your own guys. So we need one of these
Deuce Adams,
Allens or Pierce Clarksons or Deuce Adams to take over the quarterback spot, because we don't want to go out every year and have to pay a bunch of money to get a portal quarterback. Because I think, I don't know all the economics, and maybe Connor can get on here one time, but I would think it would be less expensive to retain a guy than it would be to go out on the portal and shop every year.
Yeah, until some school comes by and says, hey, we'll give you this much.
Yeah, I think it just ebbs. Honestly, that's going to be an ebb and flow, and it's going to be a lot of that is going to be dictated upon, how well have you recruited a position, in your locker room, and how good is that talent, and whether somebody feels like they're being underappreciated. Like if you recruit a room of a position group and they all feel like that they should be playing in the 2 deep and or starting, and you've got 7 of those guys, like, some of those players are going to be transferring because it's going to be easy for other teams to go say, hey, you can be our guy at this position. Come play here. You're going to start. We're going to give you the same amount of money or whatever. Or maybe they could say, I'll give you a little less money, but you're going to start. It's an ebb and flow. I think if you see a lot of times position groups that are going forward, if you start losing a lot of players out of that position group, I think it's a good sign that you recruited that position very well. That's just me.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I don't have much to say anyway, but if I wanted to, I couldn't say it. So I still sound like hammered shit. So I think I'm going to bounce out. I don't know if you guys are going to stay on or not.
I got that's about it for me. Do you got any final thoughts tonight, Pat?
No, man. I mean, again, most talent depth-wise we've ever had on the football team. Like Kyle said, let's keep it. Obviously, some guys have to go in the spring. We might add 1 or 2 more. Let's keep it, and let's play some football.
What about you, Kyle? Any last words before we head out of here?
No, just hang in there in basketball.
Get your voice back.
6 more weeks.
Go fast again, Daddy. Get your balls back.
And
Ross?
Oh, I love you, Kyle. That was a Talladega Nights quote. But anyways, no.
I recognize the quote, but I couldn't remember from where I was.
No. So I mean, y'all know how I normally sign off. We all know how I sign off, but things have really been going good since a new grocer moved into town, and I think I would be remiss. I haven't been on the pod since then. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't say, go Cards, go Publixon.
I didn't know they came into Louisville.
Go Cards, go Publixon.
Good night.
Go Cards.